Samsung recently unveiled its latest flagship device, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 from the Fold series department. But does it really live up to all the hype? Or is it just another piece of flexible, overpriced technology gimmick? Welcome to Jamsons, and you're watching an in-depth review of the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3. The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 comes in minimal packaging. In the box, you only get a USB Type-C cable, SIM eject tool, and some documentation. Unfortunately, the phone does not ship with a charger, just like most of Samsung flagship devices, and this is apparent from the small box. Instead, you'll have to buy your own charger. The Fold 3 offers an added layer of comfort by offering an IPX8 rating for water resistance, which means this phone is a lot more durable for everyday use compared to the previous model or any other foldable. It has a stronger armored aluminium frame and Corning Gorilla Glass Victus protection, which is currently the strongest protection layer for any phone in the market, on the rear panel plus the cover display. This phone is a little bit slimmer when unfolded and the overall weight is a bit lower at 271 grams, but it's still just as chunky in its folded state. The hinge mechanism feels pretty solid and has the right amount of resistance to make the opening and closing feel reassuringly good. Samsung says the Fold 3 is guaranteed to last up to 2 lakh times of folding and unfolding. If you look at the phone as two halves, then the upper panel has one of the stereo speakers and 3 microphones. The lower panel has the rest of the speakers, microphones, and the USB Type-C port, which is USB 3.1. You'll find the power button plus the integrated fingerprint, volume buttons, and a dual SIM card tray at the sides of the phone. The outer or cover screen display on the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 supports an adaptive 120Hz refresh rate. It's a 6.2-inch AMOLED panel with an HD Plus resolution and Corning Gorilla Glass Victus. This display is bright and vibrant and is useful for simple tasks such as scrolling through apps or playing casual games. But it's not ideal for typing on unless you're a skilled swipe typer because of how narrow it is. There's a punch hole camera on top, which we'll get into later. In its unfolded state, the phone features a 7.6-inch AMOLED display which has a higher resolution of 2208 pixels by 1768, along with HDR10 playback and a 120Hz refresh rate. More importantly, Samsung claims it has used a much stronger ultra-thin glass over the AMOLED display, which should offer more durability. A new addition to the phone is the under-display camera, which is barely even visible due to its low pixel density in the circular area over it. In the Z Fold 3, Samsung uses the top-of-the-line Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset, the Adreno 660 GPU, and 12 GB of RAM as standard. This is also one of the only Samsung flagship devices to feature a Qualcomm Snapdragon chipset rather than the typical Exynos chipset in India. If you're an avid gamer, then this device is going to be absolutely heavenly for you. The super vivid and massive 7.6-inch display combined with the stereo speakers takes the gaming experience on mobile devices to a whole nother level. We could play the most graphic intensive and our favorite games without any hiccups whatsoever and at the highest quality possible while having a very immersive experience in all. The Z Fold 3 runs on Android 11 and features Samsung's custom One UI 3. One UI 3 is well optimized for the dual screen estate. You can open and access multiple apps on the screen at a time simply by swiping on the right edge and dragging them onto the display. There are 5 cameras in total on the Galaxy Z Fold 3. 3 12-megapixel shooters on the rear, which includes a telephoto, primary, and ultra-wide sensor. The only difference in the camera setup from the Z Fold 2 is that you get optical image stabilization on the telephoto camera now. That's basically it. There's the 4-megapixel under-display camera on the inner display and a 10-megapixel selfie camera on the cover display. The under-display selfie camera with its 4-megapixel and f1.8 aperture is fairly decent for the video calls or face recognition. but not very good for taking photos. Samsung's post-processing tries its best to fix things, but there's still a very noticeable difference in quality between the 4MP and the 10MP selfie camera on the cover screen, despite the latter's even narrower aperture. Fortunately, you can bypass both selfie cameras and simply use the rear cameras to take selfies. When you open the camera app from the cover screen, you have the option of using the rear camera to take a selfie. Opening the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 halfway lets you use your most recent photos and the videos on the left, while the viewfinder and controls are on the right. You have the option of shooting in 4K Ultra HD in 30 and 60 frames per second, 1080p Full HD in 30 and 60 frames per second, and 720p in 30 frames per second. The Z Fold 3 obviously also supports slow motion 1080p video at 240 frames per second and super slow motion at 720p at 960 frames per second. Video quality and stabilization are good during the day, but in low light there's often a lot of noise and noticeable jitter when you're walking around. The cameras also have the support for classic standard camera modes from Samsung like the portrait video, director's view, panorama, and tracking autofocus. The Galaxy Z Fold 3 has a slightly smaller 4400 mAh battery than the previous model, but with the same 25-watt fast charging capability. You don't need to buy a Samsung branded charger, as most USB power delivery chargers up to or higher than 25 watt are enough to fast charge the Galaxy Z Fold 3. The phone comes in two variants, 256GB and 512GB, and there is no memory card slot. The device featured in this video is the 256GB variant. As far as network connectivity is concerned, you get almost all the 5G bands you can think of, Bluetooth 5.0 and Wi-Fi 802 as well. This is well and truly a global phone. So is the Galaxy Z Fold 3 worth the price? The phone's biggest improvement is its foldable screen feature, unmatched software advancement, and the dozens of new innovations which you will not find in any other device in the market, which has greatly improved over its predecessors. The phone's under-display camera is quite impressive but has a long way to go to be fully realized. The Fold 3 is still pretty expensive at a starting point of Rs 1,49,999, but it is also among the only devices out there in the market that serves the purpose of two products, a phone and a tablet. I would say this is hands down the best Android tablet experience you can find right now. The charm of the foldable form factor is that when you don't want a tablet, it doubles up into a perfectly useful phone with the best features out there. If you found this video valuable, then please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to our channel. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram to stay updated with the latest tech news out there.